Hello! Today I'm going to show you how to create a LinkedIn automation software from scratch, a real software that is valuable to users that you can do yourself. It took me about 1 hour or so to build it with RTILA. But first, let's look at it doing the job. So I'm going to go into my screen and show you how the software runs. So here on my screen, you can see here it's a command line software that I already opened. It's basically a folder with this file, LinkedIn Auto Connect. So I just double click and then it launched the software right here. And then the user can go about configuring some things or start the bot. So if I click start the bot, it will actually do the automation that I designed. And this is hands-free, as you can see right here. The bot starts, the user just launch the file, and it will take a couple of seconds. The first step is that the bot is asking you to log in or to re-log in, because you may want to use this with different LinkedIn accounts. So as you can see right here, there is an alert for the user that says you have 45 seconds to log in. Now the good thing is that once you log in once the user logins a first time, the RTILA software will keep that session so that the user doesn't have to log in again, unless they want to change the user. So right now, it's giving us 45 seconds. So I will let it run 45 seconds and also let it run few connection with few users for what I have chosen as a market. It's going to ask me to input the LinkedIn search URL. So meaning what kind of profile I want to get. So I'm preparing right now the URL. I want to contact web marketing experts. Yes, you see here now it's asking for input your LinkedIn search URL. So I already have prepared my search URL. So you see here I'm on LinkedIn and I search for web marketing experts and I selected people. I selected a second in my network so that we have a relationship. And then I'm going to select a location, for example, New York. And I want really to focus on New York for this first campaign. So here I click show results. Now I have about 300 results. So not web marketing experts, I'm going to put web marketing managers. I want to target managers. Okay, web marketing managers, people profiles, second degree connection in New York. Now I go and copy this URL and I put it in my bot browser, which is right here. So this is the first information that the bot asks for. And then the second information that the bot is going to ask for is the text, to customize the text to each user. So in this case, I don't want to send the same message to everyone. So I prepared what we call a spinning text series, which is just text. I show you here the spinning text that you can see on my screen. So I alternate, and the syntax is that I put my variants. This is one variant of my text. This example is, would you be interested in discussing web marketing on my podcast? That's the first variation. And then I use the pipe to list other variation of the same text. And I enclose all my variations within these opening bracket, and then I close the brackets at the end. So this is what RTILA needs to create unique messages to every person. So here, the software is asking me to input my spin text with the different messages. That's what I copy and paste right here. Then I click OK. Now the bot has everything it needs to create unique messages for everyone and connect to them. So as you can see here, now the bot started doing the job. So it found the first contact, which is Chenaya, and it's crafting a custom message and using the spin text that I use plus some other spin text, so that every note that I do when the bot clicks on connect is going to be unique. And here you can see that also I ask the user to reply by yes or no, because we're preparing for the next automation that will auto-reply depending if they say yes or no to our request. So now it's going to go into the second contact. As you can see now it's pending right here, because this person we have already did the auto-connect to them. Now it's going to do, I think, Joanne, which is the next candidate. And now it's doing, yes, Joanne. It's doing Joanne. And you can see that here it's a different message. And you got the point. It's going to go through all the contacts and then go next pages and do the 300, 500, 1,000 auto connect requests. And of course, we will have to slow this automation down so that you don't get banned on LinkedIn or Facebook. Is the same principle. You want to be beneath the thresholds. So we will slow it down purposefully, but I'm going to stop the automation now. And we're going to start to build it together. Okay, I close this. I have my URLs. Let's go on RTILA and let's create a new project. So on my screen here, you can see I do quick start, and let's call this LinkedIn Auto Connect. And this, we're going to do a standalone software that we want to sell or distribute to our market. Okay, I start the project. Here it is. Now I can open the inspector. And here the first thing that we need to do is actually to go and log in into LinkedIn. So I'm going to use the URL that I had of my search, and I use it as a start URL for my automation. So I go back to RTILA here, I stop the inspection, and I go back into configure. I'm going to use LinkedIn as a start URL, linkedin.com. And then later on we will build an input for the user to put the search URL. So let's go and inspect again the project. There we go. So the first thing we need to do is to log in and create the profile session inside of LinkedIn, which I'm going to do. But the good thing is that we have a profile session management. So I log in once and then it should hold it. And next time I don't have to do it until I finish developing the automation. So now I'm going to log in manually. It's not worth, you can code, you can automate the login, but it's not really worth it in our case, because the user will also log in by himself or herself. So I'm going to put my credentials. And often the first time it's going to ask you for sometime for a one-time password by email, because they will notice that it's a different browser. This time it didn't ask me, but sometime it does. So just be ready with your webmail or with your email box to grab the OTP and enter it. Okay, now I'm logged in. You can see here on my screen that this is my account, and I'm logged in. So the login is done. I don't have to bother about this. Now I can open the inspector on the top right, and I can start preparing this automation. So there are a few, it's a rather complex automation, but I'm going to try to give you the first simple steps of this automation. And we have the course, the online course on CSS locator and automation that you can follow. And many of the things that I'm doing right now is me learning them as a non-developer. And we have the content on our academy courses, RTILA Academy courses. So let's start. Here I switch to automation mode. And the first thing that I'm going to do is that I will create the input URL. We need to get the input URL from the user so that we know which search results we need to scrap. So I'm going to create new command, and then I'm going to look for input command. I'm going to give it a bit more space here. So here, input prompt, and here I just need to put the message. Please input your LinkedIn search results URL. So this will ask the user to input this, and it will appear as a screen input on the browser. And we can test that actually. We can just test it right now. So I save it. Now if I run it as an automation, once it loads the page, and again here you see that it's piggybacking on my login session, and it should pop up with the input request from the user to get the URL. You see there? And then that's where the user will input the URL. So this is just to show you how it expresses itself on the user side. Okay, so now I will reopen the inspection, and we are going to build the next blocks, the next flow. This time I'm going to go a little bit faster, and you can just review the video and refer to our courses. The idea is that normally you can build such an automation in about 1 hour of work, but of course now because of the demo and the objective of learning, it's going to be a bit slower. So let's proceed a little bit faster here. I have my input command, and I will rename it. I will just call it input search results URL, and here it's important the way you name it, and you need to copy exactly this name that you used, because this is how you can make use of this variable. And now what I need to do is that I need to go to that URL on behalf of the user. So I just added a go to URL command, and then instead of typing HTTPS and a whole URL, I'm going to use our syntax to call the variable name. The syntax is open bracket, and then you paste this command name, this input command name. I just pasted it, and then I close the brackets. So this tells RTILA, take the value that was inputted by the user in this command and feed it into the URL and go to that URL. And then once I go to that URL, I can also put a wait time so that it waits 10 seconds for it to load. And now I'm going to nest my command inside the input, because this is one flow, so I nested it. So now we get the URL from the user, we go to the URL, and then we proceed to the next step. So always save, that's important. Now I'm going to go to the URL of my search to start to build the next step. So this is the search that the user could have entered. I let it load a bit, so wait navigation. Okay, now we are on this search. Now the first thing that we need to do is that we need to click on the connect button. So this connect button here, you can see this one is pending, this one is pending, this one has message, this one has follow, so only connect button should be clicked. Meaning that we have to avoid clicking on pending, which is almost the same button. So to do that, I'm going to use a specific selector, and it's a two-step selector. So what I can do here is I can inspect the code, and then here I use the inspector. I'm going to give it a bit more space, and I want to see what is the CSS locator for the connect button right here. And here you can see that it's a button area label and it contains invite, but also it's a div that has this class, so the class is more resilient. So I think if I use div with class containing entity hyphen result, and then there is a div, and then there is a button, this should get me to click on the connect button. So let's try to do that. So I'm going to use a click command here, and let's rename it. So here we're going to click on, so let's hide the preview. We're going to click on each connect button. That's the objective, each connect button. So I said this class, and here I'm using something that we have on the course. I'm going to use a pseudo class. Sorry, I'm going to use a substring selection of the class. So the element is div, and then I open the square bracket, I close it, I put inside my my locator, entity result, and then I close with double quote. But as you can see here, it's not giving me any result because this is a substring that contains much more than that. It contains action and something else. So here I go back to my class and I put the star. So now it can catch, you see, now it catches 73 elements. Because the star tells it a class, it's a div that has a class that contains a substring that is entity result. That's what it means. Now we said that it was inside of it there is a div. So now I have less results. As you can see, it's starting to zoom into this. And then inside the div there is a button. So now I'm getting all the buttons. But as you can see, I'm getting the connect and the follow button and the others. Yeah. So we're getting there, but we just want to focus on the buttons that have connect. So one way to do it is to use here, you see the area label, it contains invite. So I'm going to use the same ID with the attribute area label that contains invite. So now my button is not just any button, it's a button, and then again I open and close the rectangular brackets. I put my substring area label, I close it with double quote, and then I put the star. Yeah. So now only those buttons that have area label that contains invite, and now as you can see, I'm not catching the follow, I'm not catching the message, I'm catching only the connect button, which is what we want in our case. So this is how we lock down on just the connect button. Okay. Now let's test it. So if I run here the command, it's gonna open that little window. So our button is working. I'm getting here the next step. Okay, I save. Close this. When we open the button, also we need to wait a little bit of time. You saw that it took a couple of seconds to load that little window. So I'm gonna give it, let's give it 5 seconds. So we click on each connect button, we wait 5 seconds. After we wait 5 seconds, this is gonna pop up, yeah? So now I'm gonna create my next move is that when I have the pop-up here, I have the name of the person, as you can see here. So I need to grab the name as a variable. So here I'm going to use another custom command, another command called a DOM variable, a DOM selector, to grab the first name so that I can address this user properly. So let's go and use a selector DOM command. I insert it and I'm going to call it selector name because I want the name of the person. And here, just look at my note very quickly. Here again, I want to locate the best CSS locator. So if I look properly, I see that it's a combination of a P, and inside the P there is a span, and inside the span there is a strong element. And I think this is pretty unique, this path. So I'm just gonna do this simple path, which is a P, and then inside there is a span, and then inside there is strong, and that gets me the name. You see here, I'm getting the name. So now I'm getting the name, which is good, but then I want the first name. I want to be more friendly. So if I want to just keep the first name here, I can use what we call a regex, regular expression. And you can learn about it, what is a regular expression, but I have already used ChatGPT, or you can use other websites to figure it out. In my case, this is the regex. I'm going to paste it. This hyphen character, I don't know how it's called, and then /s and star will actually tell it take the first word before a space. So that will just take Johannes in this case. Instead of taking Johannes Herzer, it will only take Johannes. So now I can address and say, dear Johannes, would you like to connect, and so on. So this is how I catch the first name so that I can process it. Now, next step, now that we have the first name, let's go to the next step, which I have noted here. The next step is that we need to create a message. So there is few things that we can put. There is the greeting message. So I'm going to create a static, what we call a static command. And I'm going to call this static command, let's call it greeting. So this is like the part before the first name where I say hello, good day, hola, aloha, something like this, and then I want to switch the different words that I want to use in my greetings. So I already prepared a list of greetings, and we have this what we call a spin syntax. So a spin syntax means that it will alternate between different values, and you see here I'm going to input it, and I'm going to put it for you in a Word document so that it's clearer to view, to explain the spin syntax. How the spin syntax works is that you need to use the single open bracket, close open bracket, to encapsulate all the variations of text that you want to spin through. And then for every value, you separate it with a pipe. You see here, I say hi, pipe, hello, pipe, greetings, pipe, salutations. So this way, RTILA one time will use hello, one time will use hi, one time will use greetings, and this will create our unique message, because the greeting words are spinning among different choices, and then other parts of the message are also being spinned. So at the end, every user is going to get a unique invitation message with their first name. That's the objective, yeah? So that's what I've done, and I've put it into the greetings. Now I'm going to create also another piece of spinning text, which is the invite is an input from the user, the invite spinning text, which is would you like to be part of my podcast? Or for you, are you interested in web marketing services? Whatever you have to sell, that's the custom part that you need to prepare for your own automation. So for me, I use the web marketing example, an invitation to podcast, but we need to get it from the user. So I need to create another input just like I did here for the search URL. So let's create another input. And let's call this input, we're gonna call it input-invite. Here we go, input-invite. And then I'm gonna move it to the top. And we're going to ask all these inputs in advance. So after I ask for the URL and I get it, I go to the URL of search results, and then I'm gonna ask the user to input the invite spin text. So here I can say as a dialog message for the user, please input your invite spin text. Yeah, and then the user will input that, and then now I can use this content that the user input in my next command. So here what I can do now is I can create a static command. So I go here, I take static command, and this static command, I want to catch the invite that I got from the user. So this static command, I'm gonna call it, I think I said I call it invite. Here you go. And instead of typing manually here, I want to get the value that the user had put here. So I copy the name of the input invite command, and I feed it into my static invite command, and I feed it inside this double crochet or double brackets, and I paste inside here. So now it will take whatever the user has inputted here, it will save it into my invite static value. Okay, now I have my invite text. Then the next is we need some kind of follow-up text. So I'm going to create another static command. I'm going to call it follow-up. And now you got the ID because we create the spinning, yeah. So I'm going also to input a spinning option. And my spinning options, just for you to have an idea of how I build this, here are my spinning options. My spinning options are, I want to standardize the answers from my users so that I can kick off a second automation. So as you can see here, I open the bracket and then I put my different variants. So the first variant is, can you respond with a yes or a no? I'll follow up based on your answer, and then that's variant 1, and then I do a pipe, and then I put my variant 2, which is please let me know yes or no, and I'll proceed accordingly, and then another pipe, and I put my third variant, and so on. So this way it's never the same message. So this is what I'm putting in my follow-up content, yeah, my follow-up section. So I paste it here. That will make my follow-up that will spin different multiple values. After the follow-up, we also need a thanks message where we say thank you, and so on. So I did the same. I prepared the spin text, and I'm going to put it into a new static command, static variable, that I will call, I just call it thanks. And inside thanks, so I'm going to close this. Inside thanks, I put my spinning thanks that I already prepared. And I will show you here in the Word so that you can see better. I'll put it at the very top. It's very simple. Again, I open the bracket, I close the bracket, and I use pipe between each option. I just say, one time I say thank you, one time I say thanks, one time I say much appreciated, one time I say I'm grateful. And actually, I did this on ChatGPT. I just said to ChatGPT, please give me a dozen ways of saying thank you and separate them with pipe. And then I got this from ChatGPT, and then I put it in between my two brackets. And this is what I use now as a thank you spinning text. So I go back to RTILA, to my inspection right here, and I paste that. So you can customize this to marketing, you can customize this to hiring, so you can customize this to an industry for you as a web agency. Yeah. So now I have the first name of the person. I created the spinning of greeting section of the message. I get the invite from the input of the user. I create a spinning text for the follow-up, and I created a spinning text for the thank you. Now, what I need to do next is that I need to consolidate all this into one full message that we can then input into the invitation input field. So we're going to consolidate and we're going to call it full message. Yeah. So it's going to be another static command which I'm going to launch here. So I go and get another static variable. Close this. And let's call it full message, full MSG. And I'm going to combine all these variables that I have here. And you see here, let's do it on a Word. How I combine it is that I took the names of every command and I put them in between double curly brackets. And then you see here, I just put a space. So I have the greeting, which will be spinning. Then I have space and I call the selector name, which is the first name. Then I put a dot right here. And then I put the invite part, which is, would you like to be part of my podcast? And then it's spinning between different values. Then I put a dot. Then I display my follow-up variable message, which is also a spin. And then I say, it's the thank you series at the end. So now I have and I put a dot at the end. So now I have the complete full message that is actually constructed in a dynamic way and in a random way, except for the first name that is taken from the window. So I'm gonna go and put this into my full message as a value. So now I aggregated all my static commands and my dynamic commands into one big message. And this is now what I will use to input in the next step. Okay, this was probably the longest to do, is to build your message and to build unicity in the message. Otherwise, LinkedIn or even the users can get bored and see that it's the same copy and paste. So it's not so good. So now I have created a randomized spinning process to have a unique message for everyone. Okay, let's go now to the next step. Now that I have my full message ready, now after I click on each connect button, and I will need to click on add note right here. Yeah, you see the add note. So I'm going to click on the add note, and that's a click command. So I'm going to go and create a new command here. Okay, click on element, and I will rename it, and I'm going to call it click on note. Yeah, so on add note or click on note. And then here I need to find also the selector, the CSS locator right here. So you could try to find it with RTILA like this, but usually it doesn't catch it with complicated websites like LinkedIn. So you have to take the advanced course. And here, as you can see, it highlighted in this area, and I can see that there is a div that has an ID, and then there is a button, and the button has area label add a note. We need to find something that is unique, that will not change, and that is stable, because the add note, if your customer is using Spanish, it will not be add note, it will be something else. If they're using French, it will be another text. So I cannot rely on language-based references, yeah? So I cannot use add a note unless I'm going to work with only users that have English browsers. So I'm trying to avoid using English or language reliant things. So let's do a div. So just to save time, but you can view our course on how to find unique selectors. I already have found it before and I paste it here, yeah? So this will make sure that it only clicks on the secondary button, which is this one. So this, let's test it. If I now run this command, you see, okay, good. And you notice that after I clicked, it needs a couple of seconds. So let's add some wait time. Maybe sometimes the internet is slow, so it's better to put a bit slower. I put 5 seconds. So after we click on note, we wait 5 seconds, then we get this new window, yeah? Now that we have this new window, and I'm gonna save, the next step is to populate the aggregated full message that I put all together into the full message command, yeah? So let's throw in a populate command. So I go back here, add command, I find the populate command, and I'm gonna collapse this to have more space for my populate command. Now the populate command, I'm gonna call it, we can keep it called populate text field, but I also need to find the unique selector, which I have already done before. And in this case, if I use the inspector here and I click in this area, you can see that it has custom message here in the class or in the placeholder. Now let's try this. I have one that I did before. Yeah, so this works. I find it before, but basically I just figure out that there is an element that has the ID that has custom message, which is exactly this inbox. So now let's just test and try to input blah blah blah. So I just write blah 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 right here, and then I run the command and it should populate blah 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 within that. You see here, it populated blah blah blah. So that means that we are able to write inside this command. Now instead of writing blah blah blah, I'm going to copy the name of my full message variable, which already has the aggregation of all my spinning text and the first name of the person and so on. So now I go back to populate and I use my syntax of open curly bracket. I paste the name of my full message command, and now I just close the curly brackets, and now this is going to take the aggregated message from full message command and populate it. So if I run it now, it will only populate full message as a variable, but when it's running as an automation, it will actually pull the data that was saved in the full message variable and input it in here. So let's just hold it here for now. After I populate the message, then we should click on send, but let's not do that now. Let's test our flow first. So we've done a lot already. Yeah, we take the input search URL from the user, we go to that URL, then we get from the user the invite text, the spinning text, then we load that URL, then we go on to each click connect button of each individual, and only on connect button, not the other buttons. Then we get the first name, then we have our greetings, our invite, our follow-up thanks, then we combine into our full message, and then we open the note and we populate our message. That's what we want to test, yeah? The result should be that it's a custom message to that user. I save, and I go, and I'm gonna run this command. Go back to RTILA right here, and I run this command. Okay, so let's wait, it's gonna load. So now it's hands-free, it's the automation running. I wait for it to ask me for the input URL. If you remember, that was our first input command. Okay, so please input your LinkedIn search URL. Okay, I have it, and I'm gonna get it from my Word document. My search URL is this one. I go back to my bot, I feed it, and remember, we are taking now the URL from the user, and we are using it in a go to URL command, so it's gonna bring me to that URL. And now it's gonna ask me, if you remember, we did the second input after we load the URL, which is the invite spinning text. Yeah, so that we need to get from the user so that the user can customize this automation to their own invitation. Yeah. So the greetings and the thank you, that can be generic, everybody can use it, but this particular invite is very specific to every user, so that's why we're getting it as an input. So for my case, because I'm targeting web marketing manager and I want to invite them into my podcast, I'm gonna put this text spinning combination, which is different ways of inviting them to my podcast. I copy, I go to the bot as a user, now I'm as a user, and I click OK. Now RTILA has everything. So you see it clicked on the first available connect button, which is Johannes, and now it's gonna go and use the spinning of the greeting, maybe hello, maybe aloha, I'm not sure, and then it's gonna use the first name. So something is missing right here. Yes, I got it. Good mistake, good learning. It's actually putting the whole spinning syntax instead of the value. That is because I'm going to show you something important that I forgot. Every time that you use that you want to spin text, there is a specific option for telling the command, please spin between the different values. And you need to instruct RTILA how to recognize every variant within one spin. So let's go back into our spin text static variables here. Let it load. I'm going to collapse this to have more space. I'm collapsing this. This works. So here, when we do the greetings, we want this to spin. So you see here, enable text spinning. So I forgot to do that. Otherwise, for RTILA, that's what it was doing. It was putting everything, hi, hello, greet, boom, in one shot. So now I say, no. This is text spinning. So every time RTILA is going to see a pipe, it knows that actually this is a different value. It will only take one of them. So let's activate spinning, text spinning on all our static variables here. Also for the invite, for the follow-up, I want it to spin. For the thanks, I also want it to spin. But for the full message, I don't want it to spin because it's already one consolidated message. So this one, I don't enable spinning. And now I save, and let's see if our spin text is going to do the job now. Okay, run the automation up to this moment. So here I'm adding a lot of time, waiting time, because we want everything to load. But there are ways to make it faster, but not with LinkedIn. It's better to keep it actually artificially slow. So first thing, the input, the search URL of the LinkedIn search that we want. Here it is. So I give it to you, RTILA bot. Now it's going to ask me for my own spin text after it loads my search URL. Okay, so I'm going to copy that in the meantime. Let it load. Let's copy my spin text for the invite. Let's go. Now it's going to probably be time for it to ask me for that input. Here we go. Please input your invite spin text. Yes, sure. There it is. I click OK. Now RTILA has everything. So let's see now if it's going to spin and create a proper message. Johannes Herzer. So it should say hello Johannes in a pretty unique way. So hey there, that's good. Hey there Johannes. Okay, would you be interested discussing web marketing? So that's one of the version on my podcast. That's one of the version of my greeting, and then one of the versions of my invite. And then there's going to be another version for the follow-up, which is, can I get a yes or a no? I will act based on that. And then there is another version of the thank you, which in this case, it shows appreciate it. So now we have a good messaging. It's unique. It's adapted to the first name of the contact. And then that's it. That's what we have done so far. We can go to the next step though. We've done good progress. Okay, now let's reopen the inspector and add some more steps in our automation. All right, I clicked yes. My computer is rather slow because I have a lot of things ongoing, the recording, screen recording, my camera. So normally it should be a bit faster, but for the purpose of learning, this is what we get, a bit of slowness. All right, it's loading. Now let's think what we need to do. So we stopped, let's first reproduce where we stopped. So I'm gonna go back to my search URL. I open my inspector here in V7. If you notice, this is V7 and the inspector now is in the browser. Let's go to my search URL. Let's go for a specific contact and open. I have something that is pasted wrong here. Oh yeah, this is still my message. I didn't copy correctly. Here, copy this URL. Let's go to this URL. All right, let's go to a first contact that is available for connect, this one. You see this, as I'm testing, I already invited them. So we were right here. And we were at the command of populate text field, which now is working. It's populating the full message. So good job. Now what do we need to do next? We will need to click on send. So once we populate the message, I'm going to run a command just to have some text there. You see that the send button becomes activated. So we need to click on send. That's the next step. So I'm going to go here and we're going to create a click send. So a click command. Let's give it more space. And we're going to call it click on send. Here, click on send. And again, this takes a bit of work, but I find earlier this CSS locator, which only clicks on this primary button in the model div, so that it doesn't click send on somewhere else behind the screen. So it only clicks on this send. So normally here, I will not do it right now, but if I click on send, it's going to click on send. And after it clicks on send, what I need to do is that I need to give it a bit of time to wait. So once I click send, I will want it to wait for, let's say, 5 seconds at least. Okay, so we wait, so we click send, we wait for 5 seconds, and then we need to do another little thing, which is, let's test this. After we click on send, what happens? That's what we need to figure out. But to figure it out even now, I'm gonna do it manually. So I'm gonna say, let's cancel this. Peter. I'm gonna do it manually just to get the next message. Dear Peter, would you be interested in participating in my podcast on web marketing automation? Yes or no? Answer would be much appreciated. Thank you. Okay, so this RTILA is supposed to do it, but I just want to discover the next step. So if I test my button now, I click on send, let's see what it does. So if I click on send now, okay, so it sent the message and actually it closes the window. So I don't need to do a command that closes the window, which means that once I send the message, it's gonna go through the loop and go click on the next connect. So now we start to have a loop that goes, send a unique message, then once it's sent, it closes, it comes back to the search result page, it will go to the next person. So unfortunately, I have already invited almost everyone here. Now we still have 1, 2, 3 people. Let's test this. Let's test the loop on these 3 people, see if we can invite them with a custom message. And then I would have exhausted my first page. So let's run this here. Let's go back to RTILA. Let's run this and let's connect to at least 3 contacts with our automation as a test. And again, it's gonna ask me for my URL. So let me copy the URL now. Preparation. You really have to be slow with LinkedIn. The slowest you are, the best it is. And RTILA is so stable, you can let it run. So it's better to do like 50 invites per hour maximum, but let it run on 10 hours, 100 hours and connect with 5,000 people, but not more than 50 per hour. That's like a nice threshold that gets you safe on LinkedIn and almost any other network. So now I get the input request, I put my URL, and then I'm gonna go and get my invite spinning text, which is here, which is very specific to the user. So here again, I copy. So we can create documentation for the user, what they need to prepare and how to prepare it. And it can be added to the software. Okay, let's wait for it to ask me for my invite spin text. Okay, here it is. So I paste my spin text. Now it has everything to do and it should go through the next 3 connect available, which is in case yes, indeed, it's Marco. Marco was not yet connected to. So we're gonna do Marco and then we're gonna go further down to do the other 2. So that's another spin. Good morning, Marco. Yeah, join my conversation on web marketing. Yeah, I even forgot which spins I created, so which is cool to see it now happening. Just say yes or no, please, so I know how to move forward instead of follow up. That's good. So grateful instead of thank you. This is unique. So okay, we got Marco. Now I'm gonna scroll, but the software does it. So now we have next Johannes and Mikael. So now the automation is running hands-free. Yeah. By the time we finish our tests, I have connected to 10 people already. So yes, it's good. It's connecting to Mikael. Again, a unique message. Care to dive into web marketing discussion on my podcast? A simple yes or no will do. And again, the simple yes or no is what will be very useful for a second automation to automate the answers so that I can send an invite calendar or something to those who say yes. And that's it. I think that was the only one left. And the automation is working. Yeah. So let's go back to the next step, to my automation. So this does the first page only. So here is where you can prepare your monetization. You could do a free version of this software that does only the first page of a search on LinkedIn for free. And if the users, they want the one that paginates through all the pages, then you can add the pagination, which I'm not going to do in this exercise, which is for learning, but you can add the pagination that can paginate through all the results and connect to everyone. But that could be a premium version that you can sell, I don't know, $9 per month or something. and people will have to have a subscription to be able to use this software. But now what I want to do is that this first version, which is free, we're gonna give for free as a promotion, I need to compile it into its own software. That's what I want to show you next, yeah? So now that we know that this is working and it's called LinkedIn Auto Connect Standalone, I'm going to give it also a version number. It's important because we are going to iterate multiple times. And also your users, they will feel happy every time you release a new version. That means there is progress. All right, so I'm gonna add the version number and let's call it V0.1. This is our very first version, yeah? Now I save, okay. Now that I renamed it, I can go to the next step, which is we're going to create a software, our own software, yeah? So I go to the bot section here, as you can see, and I will delete this just to make space and show you that this is done from scratch. So when you go into the bot section, you can create a new bot. You go here, you click on this little hamburger menu, and then on the plus, add a new bot. And here, this is where you configure your standalone software and bot. So I'm going to use the project that I did, which is standalone V01, LinkedIn Auto Connect, project number 37. This is what I want to convert and compile into a software. So now I selected it. Now I can rename it. So let's say my agency is called Super Auto Agency. Yeah. So then I can rename all this and use my brand, my name. Super Auto Agency brings you this LinkedIn Auto Connect software. And you know, when I was saying that you can prepare instructions and stuff, so you could add instructions here. You will be requested to enter your LinkedIn search URL results, search results URL, as well as your invite spinning text. And we can do a website, and then before starting the automation, you can actually use a website to provide all the indications. So this is just inside the software, and then I do powered by Super Auto Agency. Yeah, and also I'm going to do something else that I'm going to show you. We can do some ASCII art. Yeah, we can brand a little bit this with what we call ASCII art, which is using characters to create a design. So I'm going to use some ASCII. You can just use Google to search, but let's see this one. Maybe I can use this ASCII art generator, and you can actually choose use an image to create that art. So I can use the image of LinkedIn. So I think I have a LinkedIn icon somewhere. LinkedIn. Here, you see, I did a LinkedIn image. No, not this one. Yeah, this LinkedIn icon, for example. Or maybe the PNG is better. Yeah, this LinkedIn icon, I open it, and then I'm just gonna do a width of 80 characters so that it's not too big. And now if I click start, it's gonna give me the ASCII code with the LinkedIn. See here, it created the LinkedIn kind of logo, and I'm gonna take just what I need, like one line above and one line below the LinkedIn shape, and I copy this. And now I go back to my RTILA, and I'm gonna just put it here. I'm gonna make some space, and I'm gonna right click and paste. And now I have some arts that comes into my bot, my software. It will look better on the user side, yeah? So let's try this and let's see how it looks like. I save now. Now that I saved my bot, I have two ways of creating my software. I can use a .bot file, which is good for the case where you provide your clients with multiple automations, and then they can use our generic bot launcher, and you provide them with multiple bot files, one for LinkedIn, one for Facebook, for scrapping emails, for leads, for SEO, because you provide them multiple small bots. But in our case, we want to sell this as a single software and package it as a larger software, which we call LinkedIn Auto Connect. So I'm going to choose create a standalone executable that doesn't need any other software. Once you give this file to your user, they just double click and it starts the business, yeah? So that's what I'm gonna do. And when I click on create a standalone software, I need to create a folder. Then RTILA will throw and generate and compile the file into that folder. So let's create a new folder here, and I call it LinkedIn Auto Connect, and we said standalone, and this is v0.1. So I create this folder and I select this folder, yeah, and now in a couple of seconds RTILA already generated my software. I have a software already right here, and here what you have to do is that you cannot rename this ID here because we need it to launch this specific automation, but you can rename what precedes the underscore. So instead of bot here, I can put LinkedIn Auto Connect v0.1, or you can put also your company name by super agency. You know, whatever you want to do here, you can rename the file. It's not that important, or at least you can give it the name of LinkedIn Auto Connect. I think it will be shorter. Let's do that. Let's remove our file name. Anyway, they will download from you. So this is enough. And now, as a user, I receive this from you, my RTILA provider. I don't even know that RTILA exists. And I get the instructions from you. I can show you an example of instructions that we have done, which is on our website. If I go now on RTILA, you see here, LinkedIn Auto Connect. So you can create the same page on your WordPress or any website where you can put how it works, what you need to prepare. So this is where we explain, go and search on LinkedIn, get the search URL, prepare it, and then go and prepare your spinning text. You see here. So we explain the spinning text and how to enter it. And then you can provide them with this. When they download it, they know how to use it. So now consider that as a user, I already got the instructions. I just come here and I launch the bot. So here is the software working with the Super Auto Agency, your agency, my agency. This is the software that we bring to you about LinkedIn and so on. And then the user just needs to use the arrow up and down to start the bot. And this should give us the exact same flow, but now it's being run as a standalone. And as you can see, it's already fine that I had a connection on my computer to LinkedIn and it's using it. But otherwise, we should add like 45-second wait to allow the users to log in, yeah? Or they log in first on the browser and then they can start straight away. So now it's asked for the search URL. So now here I can input my URL, my search results URL, my LinkedIn search results URL, which I have in my famous Word document. So here, copy, and then this is exactly the same flow that we were doing before as an automation, but now it's running as a software for the user. So, okay, it's gonna load the page. Again, I'm launching this as a user. I don't know anything about RTILA, and I have a software that works, that was empowered by RTILA, and it's your agency now providing this. So the next step we had is to ask for the spinning text, which we explain, or you explain in your documentation that you give with the software. So here it asks me for the spin text, which also I can copy from my Word document. I click OK, and you see it find already the next available connect that I haven't connected to, which not much are left in my first page. But you can see the bot right now, it's connecting to this gentleman. It's going to use the first greeting, salutation Lorenzo, and then you see it's using our spinning method. So the software is working, and this is a software now used by your customer, your user, and it was all designed with RTILA Studio and then compiled into a standalone software. So I'll close it right now to show you that this was working, and I go back and this is now on my screen. This is a software that I created with the RTILA in about 1 hour, a standalone software to auto-connect to LinkedIn contact using custom message, unique messages at a flow that doesn't disturb the LinkedIn thresholds. So again, thank you for joining and being patient and learning from this. And if you want to know more about how to use RTILA in depth, please join also our online course about CSS locators and everything so that you can create your own software. Thank you and see you on the next one.